It's another day in real estate. It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I am the owner-broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. Offices in Plainville and now a satellite office in Bristol. We're licensed here in the state of Connecticut. This show I wanted to talk about another day in real estate. What is a day like in the real estate market, especially for someone that is licensed as a realtor? Now, I always like to define the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent. A realtor is someone who is a member of a board of realtors and recognized by the National Association of Realtors. In other words, they belong to a local board, a state board, and a national board, and they've committed themselves to work under a guideline of professionalism and to follow a code of ethics that has been designed for them by the National Association of Realtors. In other words, they're professional business people. Anyone can get a real estate license and dabble in selling and buying real estate. But to work with clients, whether it's listing a home for sale and working for a seller, or working with a buyer who's looking to buy a home, you need to be a little bit more educated in what you are doing because you're not pretty much in business for yourself. You're working for other people. Now, the days have been pretty challenging. I mean, we've just gone through a market where we've seen challenges because of COVID. We've seen prices on houses go crazy. We've seen interest rates go up. We've seen the mortgages get harder to get. There's just been a number of challenges. For a lot of us that are licensed in the business, it's been challenging times. You see, as a realtor, we work for ourselves. We're independent contractors. So we have to basically keep marketing ourselves as well as marketing those properties we have listed to get buyers to purchase those properties and then navigate through the closing process or transaction to get it to close before we even see any kind of an income. So when you have a few sales, it gets tough. A lot of us in the business have found that we've had to get side hustles, in other words, a side job, in order to keep income flowing during the hard times. The good news is the markets are kind of changing. We're not going to see the mortgage rates drop much further. They're still going to be higher than where they were before. And we're not going to see prices on houses drop much further. They're going to be where they are, and they are rising. But we are going to see more homes for sale. So this means for the realtor, there's more possibilities of working with buyers that will have the capabilities of purchasing homes because there'll be more homes to look at. Now, what does a realtor do during the course of their day? Well, first of all, you have to decide whether you're in this business full-time or whether you're in this business part-time, because that's going to decide what you're going to do with your day. There were surveys that were done that were put out there asking realtors, well, what do you do from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed, during a 7-day week? What's your week like? What percentages do you spend doing this, that, and the other thing? And I'll get to that a little bit later. Right now, there are people that are making decisions as to whether or not they want to become licensed and jump into real estate. They hear about all this money that can be made, these big, huge commissions. People are paying far over asking price. And of course, the commission is based on the selling price of the home, and they're going to make all this big money, and it's so easy. You can name your own hours and work when you want to work and choose who you want to work with and so on and so forth. Well, some of that's true, but you really got to pull back the covers and really take a look at that. This is a very challenging business. It's not for the weak-hearted. Now, how do you spend your day? Well, after you've gone through all the different jumps that you've got to go through to even get your real estate license, and you find a broker that you feel comfortable working with and have negotiated what your compensation is going to be should you make a sale, you now have to find some business. So how do you do that? What do realtors do? Well, I'm fortunate enough where I've been in this business 20 years and I'm a broker, so I have a lot of referral business that comes into me. But you know, when I first started, it was a challenge because I didn't have anybody to work with. And you can't rely on the brokership or the size of the brokership to bring you business. You're pretty much on your own. You're an independent contractor. So you have to look for business and find business and generate business on your own. Now, that's not to say that you may get a given lead to you here or there by your broker, or you may get a referral from another agency that you're going to work, but that kind of changes up how you're compensated depending on that particular deal. And I don't want to get into the details of that. That's a discussion if you're a realtor that you would have with your brokership. But the day is very diversified. You basically don't know from day to day how it's going to go. Now, true, you do schedules, you do plan your time out, so you kind of have an agenda, but that agenda could be interrupted at any one time. You can get a call from someone that needs to see you right away, or perhaps a house has just come on the market that has a limited period of time to see and you want to get your buyer in there right away. There's a lot of different challenges that are out there. The day is also very diversified as to what's going on in the market. You know, some days as a realtor, nothing happens. I mean, it's a whole day of just doing paperwork and doing some marketing. And then other days, you're busy, busy, busy. You're out there doing a ton of things. There are several challenges that happen during the course of the day. You're constantly thinking about where's that next deal going to come from? Who's the next person I'm going to work with? Are they pre-qualified to buy a house? Is this particular listing fitting this buyer's need? And so on and so forth. It's a challenging business to be into. So it's not necessarily just another day in real estate. It's another day of challenges as far as going forth and going and doing the business. Let's take a quick look at this little presentation that just talks about another day in real estate. I find as a realtor, sometimes I'm asked by clients or asked by friends, relatives, even if I just happen to be out at a social event, people find out that I'm a realtor, especially a broker. They ask me, well, why would you be in this business? What are the pros? What are the cons? And a lot of times when someone's looking to get into this business, they say to themselves, I'll be an independent contractor. I'll have my own business. I'll be in control of my own hours, my own time. I can work when I want to work or not work if I don't want to work. I can make the kind of income I want to make or not make the income. Or they come into the business feeling that because houses have been selling well over listing and people have been fighting on houses, that they're going to make a bunch of money very quickly. You have to kind of look at all that because of some cases, rare cases, that's true, but a lot of times you have to work for that money. You're in business for yourself when you're in this crazy world of real estate. You're not going to be given things on a silver platter. Now, there are people that get their license only because a friend or a relative is planning to sell their house in 3 or 4 months and has asked them, why don't you get your license and you can be my agent? So they figure, hey, here's some quick money, I can make a commission. There are other people that happen to have a circle of influence of folks that are ready, willing, and able buyers that they can represent that will buy homes. There are agents who are very successful in the business and agents who are not very successful in the business. There are some who do this full time. It's the only business that they do. There are others, like I said, that do it part time. The business is designed to work around the buyer's schedule. So if you're working with buyers, you're going to work evenings, you're going to work weekends, you might work on holidays. All the things that you think you're going to get away from being an independent contractor, you'll actually find you work more hours in the course of a week for less money than if you just went out and got a job someplace else. It's a challenging business. You also have to develop certain skills. You know, realtors wear very many hats. We have to be the counsel to a buyer. We have to be the advice person to the seller. We've got to deal with mortgage officers and home inspections and negotiations and appraisals and banks and attorneys. So there's a lot of skill sets that get involved when you're looking at getting a transaction that will go from the point of where a purchase is offered to the time when it actually closes. And then, of course, once it closes, now you get paid, but how much do you get paid? That goes back to the beginning of negotiating with your broker what your compensation plan is going to be. Now, some of us have made the decision to go from a realtor to a real estate broker, like myself. That's where you open up your own business. I am the owner and broker of Zone Realty LLC. It's my company. And I can hire agents to work with me in this company to work with clients to either buy houses or list houses to sell. And as a broker, I am now on the next level where now I have to oversee the agents that work with my firm, but also have to handle the transactions, make sure all the paperwork's correct and everything's to compliance and everything's legal. Things go as scheduled the way they're supposed to go, that people are covered when they need to be covered, that people get paid when the commissions come in, and so on and so forth, as well as just the daily operations of a business. So there's a lot to do. I'm asked a lot of times, well, how do you do all that? How do you design your time to be most effective? And I'll talk about that a little later in the show. There are other reasons why people want to get into the real estate business. One of the biggest ones that worries me is when I'm interviewing someone that's looking to become a real estate agent. They say they want to get into business because they want to make a lot of money. Well, that's true. You can make a lot of money, but this is a business that is being attacked from all different sides. The consumer is aware of what real estate commissions are. There are some real estate agencies out there that are trying to do things different than the normal type of real estate transaction, that are doing things for less because they're volume dealerships. They do a lot of transactions, so they charge less. You, as a buyer or a seller, have to make a decision on who you want to work with. Is the realtor going to represent you in the transaction, or are they just chasing a buck, Is the realtor knowledgeable in the marketplace or knowledgeable with the transaction to be able to help you get from finding a home to closing on a home? And as a seller, is your realtor going to be able to market the home to enough buyers to get it sold? So there's a lot of things that are involved. There are a lot of pros and a lot of cons. Some people get into the business because they think they can be in control of their own hours. Well, that's true to a limited sense. You're working with buyers and sellers. So basically your hours are based on their needs, not specifically your needs. So like I said, you're going to find yourself working weekends. You're going to find yourself working evenings. You'll find yourself working hours that you didn't think you'd want to work. You're going to find yourself working long hours. If a transaction's coming together, you may be out all day showing houses and then head back into your office and be there till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just putting paperwork together to be ready for the next day. There are many of us who have been in this business for a number of years that remember those days and have had those kinds of days. There's also scheduling conflicts, scheduling properties to see, properties to list, who's going to be where and when and how you're going to do it. Sellers have things that they have to schedule, getting the dog out of the house, making sure that it's not conflicting with the kids coming home from school, or maybe they're taking care of an elderly individual. There's so much involved. The best thing to do is look at all the pros and all the cons and decide whether or not real estate is the type of business you really have the heart to be involved in. Let's take a look at this presentation. I'll be back some more to talk about another day in real estate. I mentioned earlier that there was a company that did a survey, and basically they called and sent letters out to a bunch of realtors and asked, what's your day like? What do you do? I mean, how do you break up your day? Well, the basic thing a lot of the realtors say is they spend a majority of their time marketing. Now, what is marketing? Well, marketing is not only the properties they have listed because they're trying to attract buyers to purchase those properties, but it's also marketing themselves. They have to make a name for themselves because they want people who are looking to buy a home or people that are looking to sell a home to call them to represent them. So they're going to spend a lot of time marketing themselves. That could be anything from, we've seen billboard ads to TV ads to doing something like the real estate show, which Rick Naples does. That's me, where I do a show that you're watching now that talks about real estate, and put my contact information up front. There's a lot of different things that you can do in order to market yourself because you're constantly trying to develop that next client, that next listing, that next sale, because you're an independent contractor. You don't earn any money in this business. It's not a salaried position. You earn absolutely no money unless you actually accomplish a sale and that sale closes. Now, is it guaranteed when you go out and a buyer finds a home and makes an offer that's accepted and it's appraised and the home inspection's fine, that it's going to close and you're going to get paid? Maybe not. I've been in the business, as I said, a number of years. I've had a few times where I've gone to the closing table. We're all sitting there getting ready to finalize the paperwork. and something unforeseen has come up and the deal does not close. Whether it closes later on or doesn't close at all, who knows? But I've had that happen to me. I've had other deals that have been very textbook. You know, buyer goes out, finds the first house, they make an offer, seller accepts it, it's textbook, it closes, it's wonderful. But one of the things I like to say to new agents is don't expect to get into this business and start making money right away. Most of the gurus that are out there that teach real estate or talk to people about getting real estate licenses will say to them, don't give up your day job. Do real estate in the evenings and on the weekends until you develop enough clientele to be able to have enough incoming monies to be able to support yourself on an ongoing basis and do it full time. So, if you're looking to get into real estate, if you're looking to get into this crazy market, make sure you go in eyes open, you understand the risks, the pros and the cons, and you talk to fellow realtors that are out there or realtors that you know, and even a few brokerships as to whether or not real estate is right for you. My name is Rick Naples, and this has been The Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.